Hello everyone, I'm Timbo. Today I'm going to show you my experiment on investigating how the amount of sugar would affect the firmness of meringues. For the ingredients, we need egg whites, white granulated sugar separated into 75, 100, and 112.5 grams, as well as lemon juice. We all love meringue's airy but firm texture. It is good for our mouthfeel, but not so good for our health. If we reduce the sugar added, how will the texture change? That's the aim of this research. It is hypothesized that the higher the ratio of the sugar to egg whites, the firmer the meringue. Here's the recipe making 2 servings. To make meringues of the same size with different amount of sugar, I made 3 meringues of different sugar to egg whites ratios. The 3 ratios are 1:1, 2:1, and 3:1. To 75 grams of sugar, I added 75 grams of egg whites to obtain a 1:1 ratio. For a 2:1 ratio, I used 100 grams of sugar and 50 grams of egg whites. And for a 3:1 ratio, I used 112.5 grams of sugar and 37.5 grams of egg whites. Each meringue adds up to be 150 grams. For each of the meringues, I conducted the following steps. First, I whisked the egg white in a clean glass mixing bowl until foamy. Then, I added 1/3 of the sugar and continued whisking until the egg whites are opaque in color. I added another 1/3 of the sugar and whisked until the egg whites formed a soft peak. I then added the remaining sugar and lemon juice. Acid in lemon juice delays coagulation of the proteins in egg whites, thus allows more time for air bubbles to be incorporated into the egg whites. It stabilizes the meringue. Since I wanted to control not only the size, but also the shape of the meringues, I created a mold for each meringue by shaping aluminum foil using the same plastic container. To the mold, I poured in the mixture and distributed evenly with a spatula to obtain a flat top. I baked each meringue at 120 degrees for 60 minutes. After the meringues are done, I measured their firmness. To do so, I put a plastic container on top of the meringue and I poured water into the container until the meringue collapsed. I measured the weight of the water with the plastic container that each meringue could bear. It's assumed that the more weight the meringue can bear without collapsing, the firmer the meringue is. And now, let's take a look at the result. The meringue with 1:1 sugar to egg whites ratio can bear 214 grams right before collapsing. The one with 2:1 sugar to egg whites ratio can bear 349 grams, and the one with a 3:1 ratio can bear 592 grams. This is the graphical illustration of the relationship between ratio of sugar to egg whites and the weight that meringue can bear. The bearable weight of meringue increases with the sugar to egg whites ratio. But what is the science behind? First, we need to understand what are inside egg whites. Egg whites contain water and protein with a coiled and folded structure. When making meringues, egg whites have to be whisked by an electronic mixer. The fast and high-power whisking denatures protein and break the coiled folded structure into protein chains. Protein chains have 2 ends. The hydrophilic end is water-loving and can dissolve in water. The hydrophobic end is water-hating and repels water. Whisking also incorporates air into egg whites. Protein chains trap air bubbles which form a protein film with the hydrophilic end dissolving in the water. The trapped air bubbles make the egg whites foam up. If there is no or little sugar, air bubbles easily merge together and escape because the water around them is so thin. With sugar which dissolves in water, a thick viscous sugar syrup film is formed around air bubbles, which protect them from popping. What's more, when baking in the oven, the heat evaporates the water. However, protein chains in the egg whites trap water. Hence, only little water can evaporate and meringue ends up being soft. So if there's more sugar, sugar which is soluble in water draws water out from the egg whites and allows more water to evaporate in the oven. More evaporation can make meringue firmer and crisp up. Remember we had a hypothesis at the beginning. Indeed, the water weight test is a compression test to measure firmness. The hypothesis is correct. There are several limitations to this experiment. First, human error. The collapsing of the meringue is judged by me, and there may be a second or 2 reaction time for me to stop pouring the water. Also, the weight that a meringue can bear may be affected by its shape. Although molds are created to control their shape before baking, there is no way to control their shapes in the oven during baking. Last but not least, I have only performed the experiment once due to the shortage of resources. Reliability of the result can be improved by repeating the experiments and taking averages of the results. Thanks for watching.